Hello, this is a continuation of the other video, the 50th video from the series related to the Anthropic Documentation. For some reason, the other video has been quitted by my video editing tool. I'll check that into the next video, but to have the complete version of the video, I'm making this one, right? So it's the continuation. I will pass the entire documentation overview. It will be quickly than the other video because I had seen some points that are most important in documentation, but so I want that to be a valuable video for you. This video is related to the customer agents, the customer support agent guide related to Anthropic documentation. The first step that they provide for us, it's the before building with Cloud. Basically decide whether to use Cloud for super chat, right? So they use two of LLM to make it with support chat with agent into this way. It will be basically deviated then how much access do you have from your day. So you have a great volume of interaction into the day if you need 24/7 availability, and if you need potentialization, probably it will be a very good approach to use this type of LLM into to make your support, right? And you always can hand off to a human when needed, making the necessary changes into this way. Other interesting point that's mentioned here, it's that you can have multilingual support with Cloud automatically. So you need to do just one time, and if you don't put it into a guardrails, you'll be able to scale to multilingual support. So you can make once and using any language supported by Cloud, what is very good. Okay. The first step after defining that you use the Cloud as your agent support, the customer support agent in this case, it's to define your chat interaction. It depends a lot into your business case, into this specific example with insurance company, and they basically make for us a chat example where the user make greetings, say hi, for the bot, asks about insurance, what type of insurance they have. The Cloud needs to return this information, asks questions related to some specificities from the user. Cloud also need to have this information provided, and ask off-topic questions. Cloud should not answer off-topic questions because it's not the objective of this agent, so we must have guardrails to avoid that. Next, when the user expresses interest into a quotation, basically the Cloud needs to use an internal tool. It's when Cloud can interact with functions into the code to make additional behaviors, right? We will see how to do that in the next parts of the documentation. And receive the information from the quotation based into the best messages, and we'll be able to send to the user the expected quotation for your use case. Sure, telling to the user what has the information sent to the system to make clear that what information is being provided. And by ending asking follow-up questions so Cloud can make more clarifications and send the user to the sales team or next steps depending to your interaction. You need to adapt it to your use case, your business, but in overview is basically that. For making useful that, we have the interaction flow here. We have some points, the greetings, the insurance information from that car, additional questions, it's parts of the same flow, you can see it this way. off-topic questions that need to be avoided, um, to use, and the ending questions also handled by the same flow. So we have basically the greetings, the electric car, and the normal cars, basically questions handled by this aspect and this aspect, guardrails aspects, and to use. I'm making this type of division because it will be easier to understand the next codes. So okay, it will break the interaction into unique tasks. It's basically what I defined: the greeting, the product information, conversation management, and quote generation, right? If you need multiple informations, you can use a RAG integration, right? RAG basically we use a vector search, a vector database to integrate with your cloud LLM to enable easy capability of multiple documents, having the capacity to mention what was the source of information when needed, right? It's important to show the sources to enable verification of the data. For example, if some data was updated, for example. Establish success criteria. So when we have defined the flow of our chat, what code should do when we need to verify what is a success, what is the success scenario. So for that, Anthropic defines some example points. Here we have the benchmarks that could be used, and for analyze the Anthropic quality. And into this aspect here, we have the information to analyze the user experience feeling with the conversation. So basically, here we have the correct comprehension, relevance of the response, of the accuracy, the citation provision if needed, to key adherence if the code is not talking about other topic, the effectiveness of the generated content for your objectives, and the efficiency escalation, the escalation efficiency. And here, if the user it's liking the experience overview, alright? It's necessary to have in mind to analyze these topics into every interaction after you have a first version of the chat, and get this information to you can make some type of tested environment and make some tests with beta testers customers to get this type of information to improve your results. How to implement code as a customer service agent, right? The first step is to choose the model. You can choose the most advanced model or with less latency or cheaper, right? It will depend a lot on your objectives. We can talk more about this into the models and pricing area. Build a strong prompt, but it's important to select the model that's best suitable for user case. It's important. Build a strong prompt. Basically, into this case, it will define identity to the customer agent. Into this case, so the user. So basically, it will define how it will be the behavior of the agent, and the other prompts will be basically additional knowledge to this agent. So here we have the identity of the agent, and the other aspects are knowledge that you use. For the knowledge specifically, we will have a division into the main prompt, into static greetings in general with information about the company, what is the company, about information, additional notes, product information, and information about business hours and customer service. You can adapt it for your use case. This specific insurance company mention about electric car insurance and car insurance, so we can define it with details if the user wants more information, right? It will be used by the cloud to analyze information about car insurance, how it's calculated, and optional coverage, the same for electric car. And by the end, basically related to the prompt overview, we have some examples to show to the bot how it should be, how should be this behavior, right? Some examples. It's important to use the XML tags to not have to explain to the bot how to is the expected behavior. The bot will be able to understand better the XML tags. It was trained with this type of formats, and so you can use the XML tags to make more relevant parts of the prompt, specifically for Claude, sure, into this case. And by end we have the guardrails, how it's the behavior of the chatbot, the do's and don'ts, how Claude should interact with the customer. It's combined to become the instructions, and to enable the agent to interact with the quotation, we can add here a tool use. The tool basically we have the information about the tool into variable with the function name that will be calling into the script, the input schema that need to coverage all the expected properties, so Claude could return this type of properties specifically. And here is the function that we used by the system overall, right, with the defined properties and defined input. This description be used to interact to Claude understand on what location use this. Rating to this case, it's returning 100 by default. To deploy the prompt, we have two files, a chatbot class and the Stimulate chatbot application. For this specific wise, it will be our code, but it will be very powerful. You can see here we have the Anthropic SDK definition, configuration with the identity, tools, model, the specified model, and the getQuote function. All the points that we talked about some minutes ago. .env to get the Anthropic SDK API. And basically here we have the beginning of the chatbot, configuration of the Anthropic state, and the session state, Anthropic instance into this case. We have two my functions, generate message, process user input, and handle to use. Handle to use will get the function name and the properties and execute it to return to the system. The generate message will send the message to Anthropic. The Anthropic message sending is a stateless operation, so you can send the entire state as messages here. So it's a good point because you can make this operation with any type of message that you want to, right? You can mount this state here with assistant and user conversation in the way that you want to. It will be used into the chatbot. You'll see into some minutes. Here we have the basically to send the message and this return the response from Anthropic. And to process user input, the main task you can see of this system. Basically you receive the user input, send the content, and receive the response. If the return is with type to use, it will get the expected to, execute the function based into the information, add the accident message with the original content, append as a user message the return of the two, and it will send again to Anthropic to get a human-like response about this return. So it will be returned as the assistant. So the assistant will return to user the information provided from the tool, specifically a human-like response. If you just text, just return it as an assistant message. The user interface, the app.py, basically will get the task-specific instructions and our chatbot class with a Streamlit instance to create a Streamlit chatbot, with session state initial as of the task specific instruction. I mentioned that the this specific history it's stateless, so you can send the history that you want to, so we can define the initial messages. Into this case, the user sends the exactly behavior and the assistant just returned understood, so we can proceed with the chatbot to start the conversation specifically, right? It will handle all the messages. The next message is basically skipping the first two that were these basic messages for internal use, and we'll wait for user message, process the user message, and return the message into this interface. That's it. Basically, have here an interface with the chat running. Very useful and very complete. To evaluate, we have now so much points. To evaluate your prompt, it is important to make a lot of tests. You can use the Anthropic console to make additional validations, and it's interesting to make a lot of tests if you chatbot to make the evaluation based into the criteria of success that you defined for your chatbot into past steps. To improve performance, you can try to use prompt engineering, add additional guardrails, and it could be interesting to use RAG if needed, if you need a lot of context, using like the Voyage embedded model that could be used like a vector search in the embedded models. And you can use real-time data with streaming into the system. Also, you can make prompt chain if needed. It could increase the latency, but could be useful into some cases. And making more clear the input and output into guardrails could be able to reduce hallucination, mitigate unintended use, and maintain the code into the character. Basically, it's important also to remove personally identifiable information unless authorized, basically. Okay, you can reduce the perceived response time of streaming using Anthropic Streaming API. We will see you in next videos, certainly. And to scale your chatbot, you can use prompt chains. I mentioned that additional tools to get all the information. You can also use the tools to get real-time information. Make the tools be to certainly be part of the history, for example. So how the history is sent, as I stated in the chatbot, the tool information could also be used as information for the chatbot. And the last point here, it's how to integrate cloud into support workflow. It depends a lot the current support workflow, but normally you can create an API wrapper that could be integrated with your system through Flask API. It's recommended here to service send events to receive the information, apply caching to avoid response time, and make context retention to avoid that the data should be sent for the data being sent to another person that it was not intended to be. Right, maintaining context when user navigates to make continuity. And build a web interface. If you want, you can create your own web interface to make the interaction. Basically that for this video. Into this point, thank you for your time. If you have any doubts, be free to send in the comments. I believe that this video was very useful for you, and this guide was very great. Has very great content. It is a very valuable content in my opinion. So thank you all for your time. See you next video.